Hello, and thank you for navigating to the IDD for Canvas support. This guide will be looking at how to create a group discussion and a group assignment. So the first step that you want to do before you go to your discussions or assignments is you actually want to create a group set. To create a group set, you want to navigate here to People. Here in People, in this demonstration course, you'll notice that there are already several group sets up here. If this is your first time creating a group set, you can do so by selecting the plus group set button in the upper right. Group sets are a little interesting because you do have several options. For this first option, let's go ahead and we'll make a mandatory assigned group set. So I'm going to just call this assigned groups. And so I'm not going to select the self-sign-up option. The next thing is you want to do a few calculations for your group sets based off of the number of students that you have in your class. So if you want equally divided groups, that's where you can kind of automatically split students into a set amount of groups. If you don't want to do it that way, though, you can actually go in and group them manually. So I'll show you how to manually do this first group. I'm going to go ahead and select Save. So the group set is called Assigned Groups, and that means that this set has a selection of groups that can be used for assignments that, in this case, I'm manually creating. From here, what we'll be doing is we're going to be using the plus group button. And so we're going to create our first group, assigned group 1. And I'm going to just go ahead and copy this so that I can make it a little easier for the next few groups. So this is where limit the group size. This is useful if you're allowing students to self-sign up. If you're creating the groups on your own, you may or may not need this. So you'll be able to equally divvy out your students on your own. So we'll get to the group limits later. So I'm going to just go ahead and say assign group 1. For this class, let's see, I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 students. So I'm going to do, how about 4 groups? And let's go ahead and add our next group. Group 4. I'm going to jump around on this one. Group 2. And group 3. So now I have my 4 groups, and you'll notice that it arranged these, I guess, alphabetically. And so from this point, what we can do is, since we are assigning the students to groups, and I'm doing it manually, I can go in and select drag and drop into the group. And so if I know I want maybe like 4 specific students in one group, then I can go through and find those 4 students. And if we're unsure, we'll notice here that it tells us there are 4 students. And we can click on this drop down here, and this will also show us the students in this group. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to assign my next set of students to group 2. And so you'll notice for this one, I can add as many students as I want. And another option of doing it is I can use this plus button and then select the assignment, the group name from here, from this pop-up menu. And let's do another 4 for this group. And you'll notice in this one that I do have just the right amount of students to have 4 groups of 4. But if I really wanted to, I could have one really big group. And that's actually too big. I don't want to group with one student by themselves. So in this case, I could have one really big group. This is because I didn't have any group size limits when I created these groups. But I do want these pretty equal, so I'm going to go ahead and move so that I have 4 students for each group. So this is my assigned groups group set and the 4 groups within this group set. And these are the 4 groups that I manually assigned. Another option for group sets is you can have your students sign up on their own. So I'm going to have this one be self-sign up groups. And I'm going to select the allow self-sign up. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do that. And in this case, you do have the option, if you're teaching multiple sections, to limit the groups to being within one section. In this case, I'm just going to leave that as is. For the group structure, this is a way that we can, since we know that we have 16 students and that this last grouping I had 4 groups of 4, and I feel like that's a pretty good amount for this class, I'm going to go ahead and this is going to automatically create 4 groups right now. And in those groups, I can limit the groups to a set amount of members. So in this case, I do want equal groups again. So I'm going to limit this to 4 students per group and 4 groups per this group set. Our next option down here is we have leadership. So some groups have a group leader, and the group leader is kind of the head, and they post something and it posts for the whole group. They're the person in charge. If you're doing rotating groups on like a weekly or bi-weekly basis, you'll want to create separate group sets, and you can designate the leadership. So either automatically, or you can go in as an instructor and select who the leader is. So in this case, I'm going to have it automatically set because this is kind of our self-sign-up automatic version. And so one option is the first student that joins the group is the leader, but I feel like I kind of want it to be more randomized. So I'm going to set a random student is a group leader. And I'm going to go ahead and select save, and we should see our next group set populated with 4 groups, and each group is going to be empty. So there we go. We have 4 groups, and we notice over here that there's a cap of 4 students per group. If for whatever reason your class you end up adding or removing students, you can come in easily and you can go down here to the ellipses on the right and select edit, and you can change your group limit at any point. So if you get an extra student in the course, you can come in and make this group be worth, out of 5 people. Or if you have someone that leaves, you can also whittle it down. So this is just keep in mind that there is that option after you've created these group sets. You also have some other options here at the top with the ellipses. Managing all unassigned students. Randomly assigning students is another option. You can edit the title of this group set. You can clone it, or you can delete it. So there are some extra options here for, in this case, the self-sign-up group set. So in this one, since this is a student self-sign-up, I can go in and I can mandate certain changes, but I'm going to leave this available for the students, and I'm going to let them go in and sign up on their own.